बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। डियर स्टूडेंट्स, इस चैप्टर के तीसरी वीडियो में हम पूरी तरह डिस्कस करेंगे। इसमें नर्वस सिस्टम इन ह्यूमन बीइंग्स में इन डिटेल में हम जानेंगे। जो नर्वस सिस्टम इन ह्यूमन बीइंग्स में दैट इज़ कंप्राइज्ड ऑफ थ्री इम्पॉर्टेंट डिविजन्स, दैट इज़ द सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम, पेरिफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम एंड ऑटोनॉमिक नर्वस सिस्टम। जो सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम है दैट इज़ कंप्राइजेज ऑफ ब्रेन एंड द स्पाइनल कॉर्ड, और जो पेरिफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम comprises of nerves that emerge from the brain and the spinal cord. So we have cranial nerves and spinal nerves. And third division of the nervous system is the autonomic nervous system, which comprises of sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. थोड़ी बहुत हम जानेंगे। जो सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम है इसमें जो ब्रेन आता है दैट इज़ द मेन कोऑर्डिनेटिंग सेंटर। इट एक्ट्स एज ए माइक्रो प्रोसेसर। जैसे कंप्यूटर में सीपी सिस्टम यूनिट में एक इम्पॉर्टेंट प्रोसेसर होता है दैट्स नोन एज सीपीयू, सेंट्रल प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट। Likewise, we have a nervous system. In the nervous system, there is a CPU like that is brain. There's a microprocessor, and one more important of CNS, that is the spinal cord. That is the spinal cord. और जो पेरिफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम है that comprises of 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Together they control every part of our life. जो ऑटोनॉमिक नर्वस सिस्टम है, ऑटोनॉमिक नर्वस सिस्टम that has an antagonistic effect on organs, which basically means that one nervous system stimulates one part of the autonomic nervous system, stimulates the organ, and the other one inhibits it. So it was briefly about the central nervous system, peripheral nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Let us discuss in detail the CNS, central nervous system. First, the central nervous system, as we see in the as we see in this here, that central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. First we will just try to understand what brain is and how the brain is protected, and various parts of the brain and the function of each part of the brain in more precisely. Later on we will talk about the spinal cord, what spinal cord is, how spinal cord is protected, and briefly the function of the spinal cord. And in the at the end of this video we will just summarize the whole working of the nervous system. Let us talk first the brain. Where the brain as you see in this picture, जैसे आप इस पिक्चर में देख रहे हो, brain is in the head region and this is the spinal cord. Spinal cord is a tubular structure that is protected by this vertebral column. First we will just take up the brain. देखिए बेटा, ब्रेन जो होता है, ब्रेन is a hard bony suckle. Brain is just a hard bony suckle which is known as a cranium, and there are three delicate membranes which are called meninges. The space between the layers of the brain and the brain, meninges and the brain, is filled with a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. In short, we say CFS, cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. This is how the brain is protected. As we have talked, brain has a bony, brain is a hard bony suckle, that is the cranium, and three delicate membranes which are known as meninges, and the space between the meninges and the cranium in a brain, which is filled with a fluid like substance, substance known as a cerebrospinal fluid. In short, we say CSF. उसके बाद आप देखिए, जो ये ब्रेन होता है, ह्यूमन ब्रेन इज डिवाइडेड इनटू थ्री रीजन्स. ह्यूमन ब्रेन, as you see in the diagram, human brain is divided into three regions. One is the forebrain, and second region is the midbrain, and third and the last is the hindbrain. Let us talk about first. Let us discuss the first forebrain. Let us discuss first the forebrain, as the forebrain is the main thinking part of the brain. As the forebrain is the main thinking part of the brain. जैसे हम main forebrain consists of important lobe, that is the olfactory lobe. Olfactory lobe is this olfactory lobe is concerned with the sense of smell. यहाँ आपको यही पॉइंट्स याद रखने हैं कि जो ये olfactory lobe है, forebrain का जो olfactory lobe है, which is concerned with the sense of smell. And the second region, second part of the forebrain is the cerebrum. Cerebrum is the major part of the forebrain. It almost forms 4/5 part of the brain. It has various lobes. It has this cerebrum has a various parts, yeah, or we can say lobes. And third one is the diencephalon. Let us discuss what cerebrum is the main part of the forebrain. It consists of four important lobes. One is the frontal lobe, and second is the occipital, parietal or temporal lobe. जो, as the name suggested it, frontal means that lies in the front of the forebrain. The front region, front part of the forebrain is the frontal lobe. It lies in the forehead. Just opposite to the frontal lobe, there is a occipital lobe, and around the ear regions there are temporal lobes, and we have the parietal lobe. Let us discuss briefly functions of parietal, frontal, each part of the forebrain, each lobe of the forebrain. First, we have a frontal lobe. Frontal lobe acts is a very frontal lobe is associated with the reasoning. ये आपको याद रखना है. It is associated with the planning. It acts as executives, parts of speech, movement, emotions, and problem solving. These actions are controlled by the frontal lobe of the forebrain. We have one more, that is just opposite to the frontal lobe. There is occipital lobe, which is associated with the visual processing, and we have one more, that's the temporal lobe, is just recognition of the auditory stimuli, memory, and also in speech stimulation. And we have one more lobe, that is the parietal lobe. Parietal lobe is associated with the movement, orientation, recognition, and perception of stimuli. You have to just remember the lobes, function of each lobe, and also draw the diagrams as well. वी विल टेक अप द थर्ड वन, दैट इज द फोर ब्रेन का जो तीसरा हिस्सा है, दैट इज द डायनसेफेलॉन. डायनसेफेलॉन आपको ब्रीफली डिस्कस करना. एज वी सी इन द डायग्राम, डायनसेफेलॉन कंट्रोल्स द थर्स्ट, hunger, sleep, stress and body temperature. And we have one more part, that is the second part of the brain is the midbrain. Midbrain just connects between the forebrain and the hindbrain. And we have third part is the hindbrain. Hindbrain is comprised of three regions. One is the cerebellum and pons and medulla oblongata. Just cerebellum is a very important part of the hindbrain. It is also referred to as a little brain. And just function of the cerebellum, just to remember the function briefly, it is responsible for maintaining posture and balance of the body. It also brings about precision in voluntary action. You should also remember what voluntary actions are. Voluntary actions are the actions which are under the control of our will. जो हमारे will के अंदर आता है, such actions या such activities are referred as a voluntary actions या voluntary activities. And we have one more, that is upon us. This part of the hindbrain just connect the band of fibers that connect the cerebellum and medulla oblongata. Go as you see in the diagram. This greenish portion shown in the diagram is the pons. This is cerebrum, this is cerebellum, this is medulla oblongata. The pons just connects these three regions of the brain. So just see the medulla oblongata in the figure. Medulla oblongata is the part of the hindbrain. Its function is it controls hair, heartbeat, it controls breathing, it also controls involuntary movements. You should know involuntary movements are the actions which are not under the control of our will. जैसे involuntary movement किन का, of viscera. Viscera means the organs, the internal organs like heart, like lungs and stomach. The movement of heart, lungs and stomach is also controlled by the medulla oblongata. And the most important function of the medulla oblongata, it is also responsible for the reflex action for coughing. It is also reflex center. It is also the reflex center. It is the center for the coughing, sneezing, swallowing and vomiting. This was all about the medulla oblongata. Now we have the second part of the central nervous system, that is the spinal cord. Spinal cord होता क्या है? It is the most important part of our CNS. CNS stands for Central Nervous System. It is said, ये कहा जाता है कि जो ये spinal cord है, it is a tubular structure. It is tubular structure. As you see in this diagram, आप पहले इस diagram को दोबारा देखिए. Just see the diagram. Just see the diagram. This is the, we have discussed so far the brain, and this is the vertebral column. इस vertebral column में एक tubular structure, it is said that there is a tubular structure that goes through the vertebral column known as the spinal cord. अब देखिए यहाँ पे spinal cord, ये vertebral column है, spine that goes through the vertebral column. अब देखिए स्पाइनल कॉर्ड की मुख्तसर हम करेंगे इसकी फंक्शन डिस्कस. जैसे देखिए बेटा, जो स्पाइनल कॉर्ड है ये एक मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ नर्वस सिस्टम. इट इज सेड जो, और ये भी कहा जाता है कि जो स्पाइनल कॉर्ड है ट्यूबुलर स्ट्रक्चर एज यू सी इन द डायग्राम, विच इज प्रोटेक्टेड बाय द वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट bony structure, that is a vertebral column. आपको ये भी याद रखना है कि 31 पेयर्स ऑफ जो नर्व्स अराइज होते या इमर्ज हम कह सकते फ्रॉम द स्पाइनल कॉर्ड, दैट इज व्हाई these nerves are referred as a spinal nerves, and these nerves separate throughout the body. और इसकी फंक्शंस, जस्ट सी द फंक्शन, देखिए आप इनकी फंक्शंस ऑफ स्पाइनल कॉर्ड जस्ट कंडक्ट, जैसे हमने पढ़ा है जो ये नर्वस सिस्टम है, इसकी बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स क्या है, इसकी बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स होते हैं नर्व्स, इनको हम सिंपली और भी कहते हैं न्यूरॉन्स। हमने एक दूसरे एपिसोड में, इस चैप्टर के दूसरे एपिसोड में हमने ये डिस्कस किया कि न्यूरॉन्स कैसे होते हैं, एक टिपिकल स्ट्रक्चर द मोटर न्यूरॉन हमने पूरी तरह डिस्कस की, इसकी पार्ट, इसके फंक्शन, उसकी स्ट्रक्चर। And we do not have only these motor neurons, we have other types of the neurons as well, as we have a sensory neurons, as we have relay neurons, and different types of neurons we have. Just function of the spinal cord, it conducts sensory information, it conducts the sensory it is type of a sensory neuron from the peripheral nervous system. ये करता जस्ट कलेक्ट्स द इंफॉर्मेशन फ्रॉम द पेरिफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम, कहाँ तक ले रहा है, टू द ब्रेन, और कंडक्ट्स आल्सो मोटर इंफॉर्मेशन, द मोटर न्यूरॉन जो होता है दैट फाइनली डिलीवर्स द इंस्ट्रक्शंस टू द टारगेटिंग ऑर्गन्स, it also conducts motor information from the brain to the effector organs like muscles and glands. And most important function, it is function is very important, a very important function in the reflex action. This was all about the spinal cord function in the structure and function. और let us in the last we will just summarize, हम ये summarize करेंगे अब जो ये हमारा जो पूरा नर्वस सिस्टम है, सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम है, पेरिफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम है, ऑटोनॉमस नर्वस सिस्टम, कुल मिला के हम इसको समराइज करेंगे 2-4 लाइनों में, 2-5-6 लाइनों में इसको हम पूरी तरह डिस्कस करेंगे कि इसकी हाउ दिस होल नर्वस सिस्टम वर्क्स। जैसे द ह्यूमन बॉडी हैज़ एट लीस्ट, एज वी हैव टॉक्ड, ह्यूमन बॉडी हैज़ एट लीस्ट 12 पेयर्स ऑफ nerves, that is known as referred as a cranial nerves, and 31 pairs of the spinal nerves. The cranial nerves that emerge from the brain and the spinal nerves that emerge from the spinal cord. कुल मिला के 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. ये मिला के which together control, यहाँ पे control लिखना, which together control every part of our life. जो लाइफ का हर एक काम यही कंट्रोल करते हैं। नर्व्स रीच आउट फ्रॉम द ब्रेन, ये नर्व्स कहाँ से, ये नर्व्स इमर्ज होते हैं ब्रेन से, फेस के तरफ, ईयर्स के तरफ, आइज के, नोज एंड द स्पाइनल कॉर्ड, एंड फ्रॉम द स्पाइनल कॉर्ड टू द रेस्ट ऑफ आवर बॉडी। जैसे हमने डायग्राम में पिछले देखा कि वी आर द नर्व्स आर सेपरेट थ्रू आउट द बॉडी। It is the sensory neuron, जैसे हमने कहा neurons are, we have different types of nerve cells. It is the sensory nerves that gathers the information from the environment, send it to the spinal cord. यही information भेजी जाती है कहाँ, spinal cord, and which then shoots up, इस message को shoot up होता है to the brain तक, as the, क्योंकि brain जो होता है that's the main coordinating center of the body. मेक द सेंस ऑफ दीज इन्फॉर्मेशन, तो ये जो इलेक्ट्रिक इम्पल्स होते हैं इनको ये सेंस भेजे, दे अंडरस्टैंड देम एंड देन रेस्पॉन्ड्स अकॉर्डिंगली। एंड द फाइनली इट इज़ द मोटर न्यूरॉन, फाइनली क्या है इसका, जो ये मोटर न्यूरॉन, जो अनदर टाइप ऑफ अ न्यूरॉन दैट डिलीवर्स द मैसेज, इसके ज़रिए डिलीवर मैसेज यानी इंस्ट्रक्शन होती है कहाँ, किसके, ब्रेन के ओर से टू द रेस्ट ऑफ आवर बॉडी, टू द रेस्ट ऑफ द our body. It was all about the nervous system. आज हमने क्या क्या जाना है, नर्वस सिस्टम जो होता है, अगर हम 1-2 मिनट में हम रिकैप्चुलेट करेंगे व्हाट वी हैव डिस्कस्ड टुडे। आज हमने पढ़ा कि जो ये नर्वस सिस्टम है, नर्वस सिस्टम जो ये नर्वस सिस्टम है कंप्राइज ऑफ थ्री इंपॉर्टेंट डिविजन, दैट इज सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम, पेरिफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम, ऑटोनोमिक नर्वस सिस्टम। सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम को हम सिंपली सीएनएस भी बोलते हैं, पेरिफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम को पीएनएस बोलते हैं, और ऑटोनॉमिक नर्वस सिस्टम को सिंपली एएनएस बोलते हैं। सीएनएस, पीएनएस, एएनएस। सीएनएस स्टैंड्स फॉर सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम, पीएनएस स्टैंड्स फॉर पेरिफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम, और एएनएस स्टैंड्स फॉर ऑटोनॉमिक नर्वस सिस्टम। जो सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम है इसमें हमने पढ़ा है ब्रेन और स्पाइनल कॉर्ड। ब्रेन और स्पाइनल कॉर्ड हमने पूरी तरह डिस्कस किया, और इसके अलावा हमने जाना जो पेरिफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम कंप्राइजेस ऑफ द नर्व्स that emerge from the spinal cord and the brain. The nerves comes from the spinal cord. There are 12 pairs of nerves that arise from the brain, or referred as a cranial nerves, and we have 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Together they control every part of our daily activity. And the third one is the autonomic nervous system. It has an antagonistic effect on organs. One of part of nervous autonomic nervous system is sympathetic. It stimulates, and the other one inhibits the activities of that organ. उसके बाद हमने ये पूरी तरह इसकी स्ट्रक्चर देखी, ब्रेन कहाँ, वेयर डज द ब्रेन इज लोकेटेड, वेयर द स्पाइनल कॉर्ड इज लोकेटेड, what are the parts of the brain, what is the function of each part of the brain, and we also talked about the spinal, what the spinal cord is, and function of the spinal cord. At the end of this video, we have talked about समराइज हमने किया है कि फंक्शन ऑफ किसकी, और इस सारे नर्वस सिस्टम की। थैंक यू वेरी मच, थैंक यू, गॉड ब्लेस यू।